Hello and welcome to another video on my channel. I am just... Who am I? Am I a YouTuber now? Is this what I'm doing now? Because, girl, 2 videos in 1 month, am I okay? I need to be stopped, for real. But welcome back to a video, or welcome to a video if you've never seen my channel before. My name is Chris, but I go by Christopher067 on the internet for all my Sims CC things. So today I thought I would do a fun tutorial for you guys. I haven't made a tutorial in a while, and I basically started this channel on the premise that I was going to post pretty much only tutorials, and the majority of things I posted have not been tutorials, so I'm rewriting my wrongs and doing a tutorial. I was asked on Tumblr if I can make a tutorial on how to make rings, so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm very excited because I actually did not know how to make rings, and it took me like 3 days to figure it out. I couldn't do it. But when I did finally figure it out, it's like, ooh, you get the secret sauce, and it's perfect. So, I'm going to assume that you know a little bit about Blender and Sims 4 Studio and your editing software of choice for photography before you're getting into this tutorial, because I'm not going to go over the basics, which I do need to make that a video. I have a list of things I was going to do for videos, so I promise I will get that out sometime. Could you imagine me posting 3 videos in 1 month? Crazy. So with that being said, I'm gonna jump into it. Again, if you don't know the basics, I will link a video down in the description that gives you kind of a little bit of an introduction to Blender, so that way you can have a little bit more knowledge. But everything that I'm doing, I'll be talking about, and it'll have the display that I need to turn on at the bottom, so you'll see every single thing I'm doing. So now, there are probably multiple ways you can make rings, but I am just gonna show you how I like to make them, and yeah, I mean, duh. Obviously. So the first things first, what I'll do is usually I will go ahead and I already have a Blender file already picked out. So I'll go into Sims 4 Studio and I'll usually extract a mesh of a ring just so that way I can have all the weights that I need to have ready to go. So open her up. So now, just like my other tutorials, the first thing you're gonna do is export the mesh, name it something, and then open it up in Blender. And now I do this always, usually, to make sure that I have the right weights and everything that is already there laid out for me, so I don't have to go find them and add them in later. And now it's time to do the world a service and go into edit mode and just delete it. Just delete it. Like, oh god. Alright, so now that you have gotten rid of all the toxicity in this studio, and by toxicity I mean that frickin' ring, you're going to want to add in your first Bezier circle. Now I usually just size it down just a little bit, not completely sized down, so that way I can add other things to it and still have it in a big view. Go ahead and go into the little 3D curve tab right here, click on full, and now first things first is change the extrude value. This is how thick you want your ring to be. I'm gonna model rings after these, so they're gonna be kind of thin. I'm not gonna make them all, I'm just gonna make a couple just so you can see how I do it. So the first things first is you want the thickness of the ring to be laid out for you. I'm gonna go ahead and just round this out to be a nice even 0.1, and by 0.1 I mean 0.087. I just like it better. And then for the depth, you can add as little or as big depth as you want. I usually don't add that much because it, in my opinion, does not need it. And now I'm gonna take the preview view down just a hair, a couple. We'll go either 6. Yeah, I think 6 is good. It still has the circle shape, but it has half the amount of polygons it had originally. And now once you have your base, I'm gonna go ahead and just Shift and D to duplicate it, and then just instantly right click. Just so that way you have the same exact Bezier circle that you can refer back to. So that way, the next ring you wanna make, if it's almost an identical ring to the first one, you have the exact same thickness, and everything going on will always be the exact same. It'll give the ring set some unity. Now I'm just gonna hide her. She's shy. She's just shy. Now the first ring I'm going to make is this star one right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this right there, and I'm going to add in a circle. And now I'm going to change the amount of vertices in the circle to be 10. And then I'm going to go into edit mode and select every, oh no. Girl. Select every other vertice, push S to scale, and just bring it in. Select them all, push E to extrude it. I'm gonna extrude it down to make it thick. Select it all again. I'm gonna flip the normals. And now I'm going to take each side, select all the vertices on one side, and then push F to add a face. Select the whole thing, rotate it on the X axis, 90 degrees. Then rotate it on the Y axis, 180 degrees, and your star is done. All you gotta do now is just scale it down and put it exactly where you want it. And there is your first first ring. The meshing is pretty much done. So now what you're gonna do is go ahead and go to your Bezier circle and push Alt-C, select mesh, curve, meta, surf, text. That makes your circle into a piece of mesh and not a curve. And so now join these two mesh groups, and all you're gonna do now is just move it to be on the finger. So I'm gonna rotate this 90 degrees on the Z-axis. Then on the Y-axis, we're gonna rotate this again, maybe like 45 degrees with a negative. Scale it down, and then just put it on the finger that you want. I think this was on the ring finger. I'm too lazy to go back and look, so I'm not going to. Now this will take a little bit of trial and error. There are times that I put these in the game and they just do not work at all. So it's really just gonna try it, figure out if it fits, and if not, then just move it around to make sure it does. And now I usually just tilt it just a hair, so that way it is like that. So the trial and error usually is about here whenever you're like, ugh. So you just have to figure out which way it sits the best, how big it has to be. And personally, a little bit of clipping under here is not the end of the world for me. That looks good. So your first ring has been created. Now, if you're like, okay, great, what the frick do I do now? You literally are no help at all. I got you. Don't you worry. Because this is the freaking part that I was stuck on for 3 freaking days, and I was so upset I couldn't figure it out. I was like, this should not be this hard. But you know what? It was this hard. So I'm here to make all your dreams come true, and your worries and fears and frets fall away like falling things. I can't think of a pun, so I'm not going to say one. Okay, carrying on. So I'm going to go ahead and add just a couple more rings so I can show you how to do the weights for each specific thing. Enjoy this small time lapse of me finishing these rings. Okay, so I did a very, very basic rendering of those rings that I showed you a minute ago. So I am going to now show you what you do to get them to be on the fingers correct. This part took me forever to figure out. As I'm sure you're aware, every single finger is a little bit different. So to get to these weights, I'm going to go ahead and join this Bezier Circle Mesh group with this Studio One group. And for some reason, all the groups are gone. Okay. Okay, so I've made a slight error in my instructions, and so I'm going to redirect you into the right direction. Okay, the eyeball ring, you do not have to export the mesh to get the weights because I thought you did. Turns out you don't. I am a dunce, and yeah. So to get the weights, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go and make sure that you have some kind of top. I've appended just a nude top, just basic old nude top, so that way I can now add the weights to these rings. Now, unlike clothing, you cannot transfer weights to rings. It will mess everything up because if one is even just slightly a little across the like the center line, then it'll be all sorts of wackadoodle. So what you gotta do is first of all delete this and now join this to this. Yeah. And now for like easy purposes, I'm gonna go ahead and go to a cycles render just so that way you can see better, and I can also add a quick little metal material. Okay, so first things first, go ahead and select one finger. I'm gonna start with the index finger. Now go into the vertex groups section, the whatever this is called. Yes, data tab, hello. I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm talking about. I'm verified to do this, I'm qualified. Now this is the part that honestly still trips me up. Just as a preface, so you know, the sim, since it's facing towards you, because I, honest to God, did not realize this whenever I was doing it. What I'm on right now is the left side. Although my brain is like, I'm looking at the right side. She's looking at me, so it's the left side. Again, you'd think it'd be quite simple to figure that out, but me? No, absolutely not. Stupid. So we're working with the left side, so we want to find the left finger weights. It's very hard to figure out, honestly. If you've been having trouble with it, do not even worry at all. It is honestly really difficult because where you put the rings matters. For example, for the index finger rings, this one ring right here is going to be in the left index 1, but these two back here will be in the left index 0 right here. You have to make sure that whatever weight you're putting to a specific ring, it matches where the ring's location is because it will change everything. So for these first two rings, deselect that one, go ahead and find the left index 0 and go ahead and push show weight so you can see when it's being weighted and when it's not. When it's red, it has a weight. When it's blue, it doesn't have a weight. So that's how you can know. Now go to the other ring on the index finger and go to left index 1 and assign. Something you can do that always helps me, that I do, is use the rig top. And if you're ever like, oh gosh, I don't know where that's supposed to go, find it in here. Because if you find it in here first, then you can go into the other mesh group and then copy that exact same weight selection. So same goes for this one. Deselect that one and select this entire ring here. And this one is going to be L mid 1. And now select this ring. And this one is going to be L mid 0. What I figured out is 0 is at the bottom of the finger closest to the hand. 1 is in the middle of the finger by the knuckle. And 2 is by the tips of the finger. I still honestly sometimes get confused on that. So like, again, if you need to check, just go here, check first, go back and put whatever it says. So this one will be left mid 0, if I can find it. That is one of the hardest things to do, is find the freaking things. These two are going to be left ring 1, and this one will be left ring 0, and this last itty bitty little one over here is going to be left pinky 0. And now you've weighted all your rings to the hand, and they should be okay. If for some reason one doesn't move the way it's supposed to, go back in and just check and see where the weights are and make sure that they're all lined up perfectly. And if not, you can also, something that I've done in the past, is move rings up or down on the finger to kind of match where the weight is going to go. So that way, instead of it being a little wonky, it'll be right on the weight. It should work perfectly. So we're gonna test these out. Go into the modifier tab on the, whatever this is called, armature modifier. If you don't have one, add one. If you do have one, you should change from rig 002 to just rig. Go to the rig, click the eyeball and the arrow pointer mouse thing, and click on one of the little orbs right here. These are all the weights and all the things. These are all the weight points that you actually are using. And if you move this hand, then you can see the rings now move with it, as if before, for example, if you didn't have the rings weighted correctly, or if you didn't have them weighted at all, they wouldn't move even a little bit. So there you go. That's how you make some rings in Blender. And now all you have to do, I will usually make it to where you can have a set with one on the left, one on the right, and then both hands. So that way you can have them all on at once. You can have two different pairs on. Okay. And then also with your rig, make sure that you go into pose and then clear transform after you've done anything, because it will mess up in game. I've had some times where I forgot to change this and her legs were like spread open for business, and I just couldn't handle it. I can't deal with that. So now, usually what I'll do to get them on both sides of the hands, I will just click the studio mesh right here, go into the 3D view, push Shift and D to duplicate, right click, then push S for scale on the X axis, so push X, and then type in -1 and enter. And now it's flipped perfectly onto the other hand. I actually really like the set. I may release it, who knows? And then all you gotta do is just combine these two mesh groups together. And I just want to let you know, if this happens to you, I don't know if it happens to everyone. Sometimes when I combine mesh groups, the mesh will be inverted. So all you have to do is just go and select all of these, push Control F, and then you select flip normals, and they're back where they should be. Now make sure before you finish this, before you save it and do anything else, that you change the weights for this hand as well. So everything we did for the first hand, except for this one, will be the right hand. So instead of L pinky 0, you'll select R pinky 0. So everything we did for the first hand, but on this one, just with the R. So these will be R index 0, R index 1, R middle 0, R middle 1, R ring 0, R ring 1, and R pinky 0. Once you do that, I will add a little bit of shadow, so I will bake the shadow map, which you can easily do through a tutorial that I will link in the description below by the fantastic Slid. He doesn't even make content anymore, RIP. It was just like the best of times, but you know what? It's okay. He's probably thriving. I will put that in the description down below for you because you don't really need to do that. Some creators don't even add shadow, and honestly, if I didn't add them, you probably wouldn't even notice. So that's pretty much it. All you have to do now is just save it as a package and also do the texturing. I'll do like a small overview. Select your ring, push U to unwrap the texture, and then unwrap it. Put it in the map where you want to put it, and then bake the texture. It's pretty easy. And if you want to know how to bake a really good, in my opinion, metal texture, just go to my other tutorial down below. I'll also put it in a card at the top so you can go watch that. Another one point though before I go that I didn't think about is other CC creators. Praline Sims. Praline Sims, I have no idea how to say it. We all know them, we all love them. They make fantastic nails, but you have to make sure that these rings will not conflict with the nails, because the first set I ever released, I almost had them conflicting with the nails and I didn't even realize it, because the nail texture that Praline has is somewhere in this area, the right here-ish area, and a little bit here and a little bit there. They have it like right in this middle section right here. These are all the ring spots. So I would say if you have a pair of nails that you really love and want to use with your rings, especially in pictures or just in game, go into Sims 4 Studio and open up that person's item in there and take out the texture and put it into Blender, and then place your UV on the map in accordance to wherever they have their texture for the nails. So that way nothing's overlapping, because these will definitely overlap that and it'll be a big mess. I honestly think I've shown you how to do everything. All you have to do now is just put it in a Sims 4 Studio and do your texturing and do all that stuff. But again, if you want to learn how to do that, there is a tutorial on my channel that I will link that shows you everything about that and how to do it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope that this helped. If it did, please leave a like and subscribe if you want more of these tutorials and fun videos and all the stuff that I always say that I haven't yet done, unless you think these are fun, which I hope you do because I think they're fun. With that being said, I'm gonna head out. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, or you can message me on Tumblr and I will try to answer your questions as best I can. And yeah, I hope you're having a fantastic day, night, morning, evening, day. I hope you're having a fantastic day whatever time you're watching this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.